we are going to be covering today Baja, Belize, Brazil. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Katie Filan. I'm the director of Project Dragonfly. I wear various hats, as I have my hats on today, of advisor, instructor, and then help coordinate this amazing program. So to begin with those ideas of community and inquiry, we're going to pop to the next slide and do a little bit of logistics. And while we do that, I would love to have my co-hosts for today, Jill and Kevin, introduce themselves. So while they're introducing themselves, please say hello in the chat, share where you are, your location, and any courses that you're particularly interested in. It'd also be really helpful if you share if you are a Global Field Program student and Advanced Inquiry Program student, or are thinking about joining the program or taking Earth Expeditions as a standalone course. And then also just a bit of logistics. Go ahead and type any questions you have while we do our presentation, and then we'll be answering those both throughout the presentations in the chat and then also at the end of the presentation. So I'm going to pass the microphone to Jill.
Hi, everyone. Glad you're here. I'm Jill Korach, and I'm the Assistant Director of our field programs at Project Dragonfly. So look forward to telling you about these courses. Kevin?
Yeah, hey, everyone. So nice to spend a Wednesday evening or whatever time it might be for each of you. Talking about these field courses. I'm the Associate Director with Project Dragonfly and have taught a number of these courses. They are always wonderful, inspiring experiences. So always happy to share about it and so glad you guys are here. Oops, Katie, you're muted.
Thanks for introducing yourselves in the chat, everyone. It's nice to see where you're all coming in from. Looks like we've got a lot of different cities and programs represented.
We're so glad that you're here to join us. So just a quick overview, we're going to dive into the details of our three courses we're highlighting today, but also just want to give a zoomed out idea of Earth Expeditions for those of you that maybe haven't joined us yet and are coming into us from a new perspective. And so there's a couple of different ways that you can take Earth Expeditions. First, you can take them as standalone courses. These are 5-credit courses, and they're the 8 to 10 days in the field plus online experiences that go from April to August. We also have an additional 2-credit option that's in the fall for a class called Inquiry in Action. And this is where you really get to dive in and develop a project on your own to answer questions and then use that information to inform action. We also have 2 graduate programs, the Global Field Program and the Advanced Inquiry Program. And in both of those programs, you can take Earth Expeditions to count for your 35 credit hours. And so you can use 5 to 21 of those credits, depending on what program you're in and what that looks like. And this is a great way of pairing these Earth Expeditions to really have a well-rounded program on social and ecological change. So the cost for 2025 is about $3,600 for most of our programs. Some of them do have additional fees, and that will cover your 5 graduate credits plus any of the field program courses and meals, lodging, activities, transportation in the course. You are responsible for your airfare to get to that course. And then some of the other courses do have those additional fees. And we have a wide diversity of courses. We're not going to cover all of them today. We're going to focus on our 3 of our Bs, so Brazil, Baja, and Belize. But we have 16 courses in our portfolio. Most of those are during the summer, except for our Bahamas course, which we offer winter term. And each course has a specific focus. So you're not just thinking about this place, but also the topics that are connected to it. Again, a wide variety and diversity of topics, everything from ecotourism, to Buddhism, to thinking about people and integrated landscapes. And these are really wonderful courses because they really think about the whole person learning. And so you're obviously going to learn really important content knowledge. That content knowledge is from a variety of different experiences and outlets, but we're really connecting with those local, oftentimes internationally recognized experts that live in these places and do this work full time. We also really value the role of inquiry in the opportunity for you to create your own knowledge through the inquiry process. Asking those questions, those things that spark your curiosity and your awe, and then working with your team to develop questions and answering those questions. You have that opportunity in those 10-day courses to really dive in to the place-based experience, connecting to the people, to the culture, to the experience of what that place is, to examine these complex social ecological issues. So you're always going to be learning about the ecology and the biology, but also the people and that intersection of that, and then how we can work together to find those ideas. And then going inwardly, we're also going to be learning about ourselves more and more. And so this is where you get to develop skills, we like to say, going into your yellow zone where you might not feel super comfortable, but you're challenging yourself in various ways. And you're making lifelong connections and friendships and partnerships that really help you grow both academically, personally, and professionally. So a couple of quick things connected to how do you prepare to learn in all these different ways, right? And so we like to focus on the 3 different ways. And we're going to talk about packing because everyone loves to think about packing, but I like to pack ourselves for this experience in many different ways. So coming in with the idea that you're ready to learn and you don't know what the day is going to what it's going to bring, but just being open and having that attitude that you can do this and you're going to experience a wonderful thing. Thinking about what you actually need. And that's a really interesting thing. I'm known for my heavy backpacks, but in the field, I do it just one backpack. And so what do I actually need in that moment? Intellectually, we have a curator reader that really brings all these important voices from both our in-country partners to various experts around the world to really prep you intellectually for some of the things that you're going to experience. One of my favorite experiences is when a student will say, wait, that's the author of this article that I read. And they get so excited. I said, yeah. And you know what? You could have them sign your reader. And what questions do you have? You can actually ask them that. It's also really important as those of you that are in the program thinking about your master plan. If you are part of this program, what do you want to accomplish in your life and during your master's program? And then have that framework in there. I think regardless of your master plan, you can always find key learnings and connections across those different ideas. And then just really being open to anything that happens. I think this is a great picture here of oftentimes we think about the rain and we get really frustrated when it's wet and we're slopping through with our big boots. But as you can see in this picture, those are oftentimes the pieces that are so memorable and things that people always are talking about on the other end. Okay, packing list. So what's in your big bag, right? So you already packed your brain, and so you're all prepared with your reader. You packed your spirit with all the things that you're going to be flexible with. So what are those physical items? So everyone's going to need a passport, some travel money, right? Your Geo Blue card, that is a requirement, and then those famous yellow luggage tags. so you can find people in the airport, and then we can keep track of all of our stuff. Regardless of your course, we have a detailed packing list for all of our programs, and so don't worry about that, but just people like to know what do they need, and so your journal is going to be your guide to help you reflect on these experiences, and so make it special. Bring what you want to do to make notes, do some natural journaling, really connect with that. You're going to bring that reader so that you can connect to both the content knowledge and all the experiences. I am one of those people that I always have my binoculars, and basically I get off the plane and my binoculars go on, and then they don't come off till much later. I'm also known for my snacks, right? We're going to talk about food. We have great food on all these courses, but it's always helpful to have that snack. And then think about what you need for all weather. We are going to be in the elements, and so regardless of what's going on, we might be outside and being ready for cold and windy and wet and hot and sunny and rainy and everything in between. And then we oftentimes move a lot, so having shoes that are helpful. I like to tell my students that when you get your placement, start whatever shoes you're wearing, start walking in those shoes, because blisters are not fun. On that note, make sure to have a small first aid kit, so in case anything pops up, you have that. And then something that people forget, but bring pictures from home. And that's a way of starting some really important conversations, of just showing who you are outside of this class, both with your fellow classmates, but also your in-country partners. And I think they're just wonderful ways that people want to know who you are, and sharing those pictures is a great place to share your place with other people. Typical days are fun because there is no typical day on an Earth expedition. We were just reading the reflections, and one of our students said that they were always thinking about what's next, and in Earth expeditions, they learned that they don't care what's next because they know it's going to be awesome. They know that they're taken care of, and they just want to be in the moment rather than thinking about, oh, well, what are we doing tomorrow? So a couple of things that you'll experience regardless of what course you're on. And so you're going to be outside exploring that place and connecting with that place. This will vary depending on the region that you're visiting. It could be on a boat, it could be walking in the forest, it could be in the savannah. We will have places for interactive discussions. You will lead discussions and really connect with various people. You will be doing experiential learning in all sorts of different ways, regardless of what the partners are doing, how are you connecting with these, and learn what they're doing on every day. And then we're going to have opportunities for journaling. We're going to have opportunities for inquiry, and we're going to have opportunities to learn and listen and have different perspectives brought to us. Okay, so I've done more than enough talking, so I'm gonna pass on the microphone to Kevin, and he's gonna tell us a little bit more about Baja.
Yeah. So I see Steven and Sarah in the chat was already to Baja and wrote that she loved it, and Steven's wondering about it, and a few others I'm sure on here. So let me share about Baja. It's such a special place. I went there for the first time 13 years ago. I've taught this course, I think, about 6 times now. And it never ceases to absolutely amaze and floor me. So the neat thing about this course is that it's a pretty easy launching spot for most people from San Diego. So a little bit less of a long flight than some of our other locations. And then it's pretty much kind of a road trip vibe down the peninsula. And first starting at our ranch location, which you're seeing in the top right of the picture there, there's some short hikes, nothing longer than a couple miles, maybe some slope terrain, but nothing too difficult. But basically to see views, to learn about endemic cacti and medicinal plants. Our main partner that, works at the ranch and has been doing this kind of engagement with visitors for a long time. He uses a lot of the plants in medicinal um, uh, uh, medicines and treatments for different things like diabetes and cancer. So it's quite a powerful story how he has connected back to his grandmother's legacy of using these plants in this region. So that's very special time in the desert. And then the course moves on to the picture on the left, which is moving down to the Gulf of California, also known as the Vermilion Sea, and seeing these incredible islands. These are ocean powered islands, we might say. It's sort of an area of theoretical ecology where these seabirds land on these islands for roosting sites or nesting sites, and the guano is nutrient rich and it can support food webs and cause higher than what you would expect species diversity on even small islands. So it's this very unique kind of theoretical framework that goes against some of the thinking of larger islands are always more diverse. But what's really cool about this area is these warm waters of the Gulf of California that are nutrient rich, that are have a higher salinity because of the temperature. They are a great place for all sorts of wildlife, including whale sharks, the largest fish in the world. And of course, we can't guarantee that you will get to see whale sharks, but we often do and get a chance to snorkel with them. So, what an incredible bucket list item to be able to be with such a magnificent creature. But even if you're on a year where they're not around, because we can't predict nature, you will see these incredible seabirds I'm showing here. You can't really see, but the blue-footed boobies in abundance, sea lions in abundance, all sorts of other things, including manta rays and sometimes bioluminescence in the water, which can be phenomenal. Just one story of one evening, our class was out swimming at night, and I actually have not been the most proficient or comfortable in the water in my earlier life. And so sometimes this was slightly out of my comfort zone, but so incredible to see us all sort of glowing in the water as we're swimming as a group, reconnecting with a sense of nature and wonder. So just so many special things to experience, but we could go to the next slide. Um, just so we kind of get drawn to these places because of golden lion tamarins or whale sharks or whatever it may be, these species. But as Katie said, um, you know, we never know what we're going to experience, but also it's the community that we build and the people we connect with. And I will say the people, our in-country partners, Raphael and Megan McDonald in Baja, they and the whole team that's down there that kind of host us and usher us through this area, they just embody what Dragonfly is about. Like they embody the inquiry, the community, the voice the whole time. So that's, I think, why this trip is so powerful, is because every moment you're kind of thinking about these issues and how we can be a more intentional community together. They also, it's probably hard to see a little in the bottom right there, but there are some kids in the town of Bahia de los Angeles, where the city where we are based on the sea of the Vermilion Sea. These children have gotten involved in engaging with the class. And that was something that emerged out of COVID when they couldn't run programs for people coming from the US and other places. They started working with the local community. Now they're involved with plastic monitoring and pickup on the beach and doing their own inquiries and then sharing that back with the adults that are coming for their graduate program. So how cool to totally flip education. Yes, you do sleep on these cots in the middle top image there, right by the sea. It's magnificent, amazing. It's safe. It's beautiful. You're under the stars. You're looking up and we're talking about constellations and just seeing what we can see. And of course, this course does have a focus on field methods. So there's a quadrat there, top right image, and getting out to snorkel and do some monitoring and get familiar with some of those methods. And the food, of course, is wonderful. I think all of our courses, the food is great. And what a precious thing to go 10 days, not have to really cook or worry about food. Just that is really special. But then to also like be a part of this local cuisine or a local take on different foods. So yeah, everything is taken into account, gluten-free or whatever vegetarian items people might need. And it's very, very healthy because there is that focus on sort of holistic well-being on this course. So we can go to the next slide. So yeah, the climate, coastal desert, of course, bring lots of sunscreen and hat and some lightweight long sleeve shirts and pants for this course. Sneakers and sandals are good. Sneakers because it is the desert. There are cacti around that'll get you. So having some closed-toe shoes is good in that case. And then some swimming and snorkeling. Now, if you're not super comfortable with snorkeling, I will say this is one of the best courses I could recommend because Megan McDonald will teach you and any others that are not so confident how to really be very, very proficient in the water. And if you're actually accomplished and maybe scuba certified, she will also help you get to the next level because she's been doing it for so long and is just an excellent teacher. Already talked about the sleeping. It is modest flush toilets. I will say this course probably has a little bit more of a rustic vibe to it than some of our other courses, but I've never been more comfortable. So it all depends on your intentions and such. It's a lovely way of life. The food is listed there, delicious, of course, beans, rice, local fruits and vegetables, maybe some cacti. You can try if you want as well. And then transportation, like I said, it's a little bit of a road trip vibe, which I think adds to the journey and the power of it all. And then some boat travel during the days when we're at the Vermilion Sea Institute. I will drop a link to the Vermilion Sea Institute webpage in the chat because I think it's just worth looking at their website because it's beautiful and it's inspiring. But yeah, that's a little glimpse into Baja.
So many different screens going. Hi, everyone. So changing gears to the next B course is our Belize course offering with a focus on approaches to environmental stewardship. And I chose this slide first because I really feel like it's a welcome to the Belize Zoo is a big part of our experience there. The Belize Zoo has been a long-standing partner of ours and really, I think, embodies the focus on how we can connect many different people to conservation through animals, through landscapes. So this is the entry into the Belize Zoo. This is a student group that's walking in off the main highway. And Belize is a wonderfully kind of small country, has about 300,000 people, which I live in the city of Cincinnati. So it's actually about the same number of people in our city throughout an entire country. So many people know one another, and there are only 4 main highways in Belize, and the Belize Zoo is right off of one of those main highways. So many people get a chance to be able to see this entrance to the zoo. And really, I think the location has been a strong driver in people coming in and getting to know these animals and people that are really driving a lot of the conservation that's happening in Belize. So this is our main partner, and we stay right across the street. So this group is walking in to do an inquiry on site on zoo grounds. And they've walked over from the Tropical Education Center, which is where we stay most of the nights, kind of associated with the Belize Zoo. So from there, I wanted to show you a few of the images of some of the kind of the people, the places, the animals that we get a chance to connect with while we're there. The 2 people at the top are Jamal and Celso, who are critically important to the mission and the work of the Belize Zoo. Celso is actually the executive director of the zoo now, and both of those 2 people are graduates of the Global Field Program. So kind of a neat full circle experience to have program graduates also as some of the teaching instruction sort of for the course itself. At the bottom is Jesse Young, and the building that's at the top of the slide She helps to run the Community Baboon Sanctuary, another small NGO focused on sort of ecotourism with black howler monkeys in the region. We get a chance to be able to spend a day out there with Jessie and her team. And then the other animals and kind of the ambassadors that are on this slide are some of the species that we'll get to know while we're on this course. Bottom left are the jaguars. There's a lot of talk about jaguars, people living with these animals, right, in small villages, and just getting a chance to be eye to eye with these animals to really understand one another has been such a community drive toward kind of thinking about these animals in new ways. The parrots are just fun. They're colorful, and you can get a chance to feed them with the keepers. So it's just kind of a neat opportunity to be truly up close with animals. The Belize Zoo only houses animals that are living in Belize. So it just has this really neat local flavor. You can see from the sign that's over on the right-hand side of the slide here, we live in a beautiful world. These are hand-painted signs. They have fun, sweet slogans on them kind of throughout the zoo. And the bottom right there is really a lot of fun. This is April, who is a very famous Central American tapir. And on April's birthday, April is now since passed away, but she would get a birthday cake and there would be a big celebration. And this statue would be put along some of those main highways in Belize. So just kind of this fun element of thinking about the many ways we can engage with animals and kind of bring more people into the conservation story. So that's just some of the folks that we'll get to know. And then we have a few days on the water. So every time I see these pictures, I get really happy. This is an incredible place called Tobacco Key. It's about a 5-acre island. There are about 1,000 keys or small islands off the coast of Belize, and this is one of them. And as you drive up in the boat, you cannot believe that this is where you're going, and then this is where you're going. So it's really incredible. You can see the group there on the bottom left is that same group from the earlier slide. So they've probably been out for a snorkel day for the afternoon. You know, some of the beautiful fish that you'll get a chance to see in the water, and understanding the coral changes that have happened over time. There have been different bleaching events. Climate change is having its impacts. Storms are having its impacts, and being able to hear from some of the local marine biologists that are working in the area. And then the student in the bottom right there she's holding a slate, which is like an underwater clipboard. So she's taking some data on an inquiry investigation that she was doing in the Keys. So this is a chance to be able to do some inquiries on site at the zoo, and then to kind of compare those findings when we're in these marine environments. Some students choose to do studies on the island itself. So they might do more of a social study of the people. There's only about 20 year-round residents in a place like this. So it's always just a really interesting dynamic on what's it like to live and work in these places. And then we really get a chance to do some of our student discussions here. We get chances for journaling. Some of our snorkeling is just straight up fun. And other times we're focused on kind of the scientific aspects of what we're doing in that place. And then we're really able to bring all of those conceptual ideas from the terrestrial environments, from the marine environments, and bring that together into thinking about what does it really take to create that next crop of environmental stewards. So when you think about the climate, many of our locations are in kind of hot, humid places. It tends to be fairly hot for the inland portions at the zoo. And like Katie said before, you're kind of ready for all weather. So sunny, rainy, yes, it's all possible and probably will all happen over the course of 1 week. It's much more breezy on the coast when we're in that island environment. So lightweight clothes are really just kind of the way to go. I'd say moderate for the activity level of this course. You're walking every day. You're walking to and from your rooms. You're walking to the next location. You're walking to the bus. None of those are very far, but it is a reasonable amount of activity level. So like Katie said, putting those shoes on and just getting started walking and being more active, if that's something that you want to try to focus on, it can really help you on the course. There's a few longer hikes that we take, and then the snorkeling and the swimming. So I do think we have chances to just walk right into the water, which is a really nice way to learn snorkel. You're not having to just sort of jump off the boat. And we're also in environments where we can have newer snorkelers together, more advanced folks, so that everybody can feel their comfort level as needed. You can see the group there that's listed on the slide, I think is a good example. The two people in the front, they have on long pants, they have on long sleeves, they probably have a short sleeve shirt underneath. they're wearing hats and they have their backpacks with their water bottles and they have some kind of comfortable shoes. So I think that's a pretty standard Earth Expeditions outfit for probably many of these courses. And you can see they're in a group. They probably drove out to a field site and then they're actually going on a longer hike from that site. Then they'll get back on the bus to be able to go back to the zoo. And then the two pictures that are on the bottom left are some of the accommodations that we stay. So we typically stay 2 to 4 people per room. And then the bathroom is outside that room. So you're walking to go get to the bathroom. And typically we have separate stalls with showers, changing areas, toilets are all separate. And then a lot of times the sinks are out in an open space where you're kind of sharing. So everybody's sort of brushing their teeth together kind of in that setting. So typically there's lighted paths at all of the locations for this Belize course, but definitely bringing your flashlight and your headlamp. These are really key. Sometimes we go out for night hikes. Sometimes you just want to be able to walk to the bathroom at night, and it's really nice to be able to have a way to light or even to read at night in your room. Some of these locations have generators that go off at night, so we don't actually have electricity in the evenings. Same for the food here. The food is delicious. It is a huge mix of different types of foods. Vegetarian is very easy, beans, rice, plantains, lots of different fruits. And they love to introduce new foods to the groups then as well. They'll make juice from scratch. They will make pastas and other things, and there's a lot of dessert. So that always makes me very happy on this course. And then, as we said before, we'll take the boat. We'll walk a lot and we'll primarily ride the bus to different locations. Belize being a smaller country, we're not on the bus for all that long. Some of the roads are a little windy, but generally speaking, we're only on the bus for a couple hours at most, and we're only on the boat for about a half hour at most at any one time. And then we're sort of doing that throughout the different days of the course. So this is definitely one of my, I don't have any favorites since we have all these wonderful locations for Earth Expedition, but this is definitely a course that I have seen a lot of growth, just like Baja and just like our Brazil class for first-year students in particular, as well as second and third-year students. This is an excellent location for kind of learning some of those additional themes. And I'll turn it over to Katie to tell us about our next B of Brazil.
Final B for the night, and so I dressed like a golden lion tamarin today. So Brazil's main theme is saving golden lion tamarins, but it's so much more. And so we use this as a kind of focal center. And it's one of my favorite stories because it's a great story of conservation success. It's easy to read the news and hear about all these amazing animals going extinct and becoming endangered, and climate change, and it's really hard to keep the hope. But this story shares that a group of committed individuals working together in creative, collaborative solutions can really save a species. And so they went from a population of 200 to a population of over 4,000 now. And so it's just a really great way of really thinking about the innovative ways we can conserve a species. So I like to think about, let's see if I can actually, where we are in the place. And so this is an interesting course because we actually go across the entire current range of the golden lion tamarins in Brazil. So you fly into Rio de Janeiro, it's going to feel very different than where you are the rest of the course. And so a city of about 18 million people, famous for many of its beaches, just a really interesting place to fly into, obviously an economic and political center. And then we're going to go on BR 101, which is this large highway. And we will start off, and I like to think about it, of the interactions between people and these animals. And so we start off at a scientific research place, the Rio de Janeiro Center for Primatology. You're going to learn about the diversity of primate species in Brazil. It's in the hundreds of species and all the work that's being done to conserve these species across that area, but really having that focus of science, right? Then we move there, we go to the far end of the range to the União Reserve, and there you're looking at some of those classic conservation ideas of we're going to draw a line and say this is an important area and we're going to conserve that. You're going to be in a place where the general public isn't allowed to go, but you're going to see some of this territory and these habitats and what's going on. And then the end of the course, we really focus in those interactions with the local people and the environment. And so you're going to be living and staying at someone's private land who has dedicated that land to conserving these important animals. You're going to see this beautiful bridge that really connects all these fragmented areas. And you're going to see and be part of the restoration activities that take all these fragmented areas and connect them so that we can have a viable population of golden lion tamarins. And so people come here for the golden lion tamarins, right? And so we can say, oh, how cute they are. And so you have to say that, especially the babies. So it is so much more than that. I have to highlight Andrea, who is holding the radio telemetry thing. She has started, and I think she keeps changing the date because she won't acknowledge how many years she's been studying this, but this is the leading expert of golden lion tamarins. I think she's been working with this species for at least 40 years, and she's out there almost every single day studying these animals. She has learned all about their biology and then what it takes to save this species. So you get to go out in the field with her. They have a couple of groups that are highly habituated. And so we have really nice viewing activities. And then we do inquiry actions on the golden lion tamarin. So you have that opportunity to really use inquiries on behaviors. We'll go next slide. But if you don't love primates, still come to this course, right? I love the golden lion tamarins. I'm a primatologist. It's just a great story of understanding the science behind them, the interactions between global health and yellow fever. And because it takes so much to save the species, they are also working on so many other important initiatives. And so their goal, AMLD, is to save 2,000 species and 25,000 hectares of connected and protected forests. And so to do that, they do a lot of really great reforestation and agroforestry techniques. And so you get to get your hands dirty, work with the local farmers and help them conserve their ideas. This is Doña Grasa, and we were able to go in and work at her farm. Today she has both a planting nursery, and so she grows a lot of the saplings that then AMLD buys to then reforest these lands. But then this past summer, we were working on her agroforestry plot, and so all of the students got in there and we're cleaning up this really interesting dynamic place that she grows coffee and chocolate plants. And then how does she use all these natural processes to help do it? So she was very happy that it usually takes them all day. And our students were very hardworking and we were able to do it in half a day. You're also going to learn a lot about the Brazilian culture and the artisans connected with this. And so sometimes there's samba cultures, or one of the places that we stay, the family just really opens their house and you might have a sing-along with an accordion with someone who you all want to adopt as a grandmother. And so just some of the different ways that you're really interacting and learning both the people, the place, and the environment. So logistics, so unlike Baja and Belize, we are going to Brazil during the winter. And so it is highly variable, but I will warn you right now because and then we had a warm spell last year, so you know the students always tell us the way that it goes. Everyone's like, oh, I know we have someone from Wisconsin. I'm from Wisconsin. 40 is warm for us. We wear shorts. Please bring some warm layers because We are oftentimes outside learning in open air spaces. The houses are not heated, and so 40 without escape feels colder than it is. And so I have that picture up there that we're having a talk in the evening, and many people are wearing their fleeces and their puffies. I always just bring a hat just in case because I'm always happy that I have it. And then it can also get up to 85 or 90. So of course, the day that we were doing the hard labor, it was warm and sunny. And so you want to bring your hat, your long sleeve sun shirts, definitely layers so that you can change and go down from, the students wearing shorts and short sleeve shirts to then being bundled up and warm. And so we always seem to have a lecture, not a lecture, but a discussion with the blankets coming out. Rain is possible, so be ready with that as well. Activity levels are low to moderate. We do a lot of walking on the trails. We will go out into the forest to find the golden lion tamarins. There are a couple of hilly paths that we go through. We spend time at AMLD's Central Park, and there's hills and lots of trails to explore there. We do not do any swimming on this course. There is a waterfall. It's very cold, and depending on where we are, we might go see it, but unlike the other courses, you're not doing a lot of swimming. Lodging is usually in cabins with 2 to 4 people plus. Sometimes we have a couple more in the room. You can see the bunk beds there with blankets, flush toilets. If you need to go when we're in the forest, there's no flush toilets out there, but other than that, running water. Usually we'll have warmish showers, but depending on how many people are showering at the same time, that's variable. And again, those separate bathrooms, and so you have that privacy that you may or may not, you may need or want. Food, again, I think we've had this amazing collection of amazing food, but we have a lot of different buffets. So you can see one of the buffets down at the bottom. At the farm we stay at, you're getting locally grown organic food that's coming from that farm. And so usually rice and beans and veggies, lots of fresh meats for those of you that eat meat. Every morning we have amazing fruit, lots of breads, lots of cakes. One time we had a miscommunication that we ate breakfast before we left, and we went to someone else's farm, and we had second breakfast, and I said, okay, you all, you're gonna have fresh roasted coffee and more cake. And they're like, oh, do we have to? And I was like, yes, please just have a second serving of cake. So you're doing a lot of really great eating, lots of diversity, again, honoring a lot of different dietary restrictions as well. Transportation is primarily a bus because we are going on that range. We spend a little bit of time on the bus. Our big day is 2.5 to 3 hours, but that's your main transportation there. So wonderful course, really learning a lot of those integrative skills and conservation, and then having people that really just open their homes and their family to you. Okay, I'm going to stop momentarily to see if anyone else has questions. The chat has been very quiet, but we also have shared so many important tidbits of, so maybe we answered all the questions. Okay, well, we will stay on for a couple more minutes, but first I want to thank Jill and Kevin for sharing all their expertise and experiences on Baja and Belize and Brazil. Well, that's me. But I just want to say that you can't go wrong. These are all amazing courses. They're excellent first-year courses. But for those of you that are not first years, part of both the AIP program or the GFP program, they're also excellent additional courses to really just round your master plan. A couple of just logistics real quick. So if you are a current student in either one of the programs, your deadline for your field requests November 11th. And then if you are a new student or an EE only or alum planning to take that course, just a note for those of you that are graduating in December, congratulations. And then you can take these as alums. So a couple of you, you'll go into that category. And so that deadline this year is January 15th. Applications can be found on our website, earthexpeditions.miami.oh.edu. And we just really appreciate you all taking time this afternoon, and we hope we all see you in the field this summer. Thank you again. And Kevin and Jill, if I forgot anything, feel free to jump in
No,
real quick.
thanks, Katie, and thanks to everyone. And we hope to see you in the field. We love all these courses, and yeah, we should just all do them all.
I know.
Yeah, we hope you join us. Any of these are a great fit for first year students, or if you're a second or third year student, don't worry. It really is a wonderfully inviting experience to be on any of these 3 courses. So thanks for joining us.
Yeah, and Stephanie, feel free to send individual questions to our emails as well.
Yeah, and
Or
the Dragonfly at Miami OHEDU will forward them to us or get them into our hands as well. So yeah.
thank you all.